is we see a lot of people looking for some kind of meaning and purpose now because postmodernism has wrecked
Mhm,
wrecked the Western world. People
mhm.
have no clue up from down what morals and ethics are, anything like that. I don't even mean what things should be done. I mean what the concepts mean. What is living a life in accordance with some kind of a objective ethical standard or something like that. So if somebody came to you and presented you with, okay, you have this form of Judaism that you actually preach to people to become part of. Um, one, on a pragmatic level, how does it make my life and the lives of people around me better? And two, from an epistemological standpoint, how do I know that it's true?
I never argue truth because I can prove it. This is all based on faith. My whole relationship with God is based on the fact that the Bible, specifically the Torah, has been the main book, not the only book, but the main book to civilize this planet. From an academic perspective, I can't articulate every passage from it, ethically, right? I mean, there's some parts of it that I don't understand. But in life, the choice typically isn't between what's horrific and what's utopian, but between what's good and what's better. The Torah is the better alternative. And every other attempt to in some way reinvent the wheel ethically has only left a trail of blood and carnage. So it seems that the laws that appear in this book have been an ethical net gain for humanity. So it makes me believe that it must have come from some divine source. And if this divine source cares so much about me to give me this higher standard to aspire to, this gets me to in some way reciprocate that love. That's the extent of my relationship with God, the extent. I don't think I can prove that God exists. I don't think people could prove that he doesn't exist. However, what I could prove is people adopting a Torah lifestyle for themselves, living richer, fuller lives, happier lives. That I think could be proven. And that's the whole basis of, I guess, ministry, amutah, whatever, but whatever I bring to the table is to try to make people better through individual moral training. But the only way I'm going to do that is by having some sort of systematic theology and not saying believe me because I'm a rabbi or believe, the Talmud because I believe it was given on Mount Sinai. For sure. And now, why don't I encourage Christianity or Islam? Well, Christianity and Islam are ethical because they're based off the Torah. So it's just basically recycled ethics with a problematic philosophy that I feel will end up catching up with them. This is why, I mean, I hope they don't remain Christian. I hope they don't remain Muslim. I hope they graduate into Judaism. Although there's a lot of work to be done in the Jewish world before we can
But you don't
probably,
advocate for Christians becoming Jewish because you do see the level of problem at the moment of where that can lead.
I do advocate. I proselytize. I mean, I encourage them, but I tell them from the outset that anyone who converts nowadays is really just chaff for the fire. There's so much to be done in the Jewish world that you're going to be made to suffer as a convert till we could finally start moving forward, right? For sure, this whole notion that converts are elevated, vaftim at ger, gerlo, tone, all this stuff, is almost non-existent when you embrace Kabbalah. However, I mean, you have to suffer. We have to take a few steps back before we could start taking big steps forward, and that's what you're going to deal with if you're going to try to make any change in the Jewish world as a convert. You're going to be made to suffer. If you're a convert who just keeps your mouth shut, okay, they may ignore you, but if there's any form of pushback, they're going to remind you daily you're a convert. I'm sure that happens in all belief systems. But yeah, there's a
So
lot to be done in the Jewish
we
world.
see that. I mean, I'm not a convert, but my parent, I grew up religious, but like from a very young age, from 1 years old or whatever it is, my family was religious. But from parents like Balei Tshuva parents, right? You already see that shift, Overton window, and then when it comes to converts, you definitely see that. I mean, there's
Mm.
there again, there's what's said as the public face, and then there's what's said at the table when nobody's listening in shul. But